Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Colorfully Conscious podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. This is your host, Leylah Murad, and welcome. Welcome to it. I missed you all so much. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a returning listener, God bless. Thank you so much for being here. Today's topic is centered on the breakup process and healthy relationships as well. I know that you will find it interesting wherever you are in your journey. Just thank you for being here, and I know you will take something away from today's episode. If you want to get straight into it, the timestamps are listed below. I just want to say that if you would please do me the biggest favor and rate this podcast if you like what you're here today, go ahead, drop that 5 stars, and it helps the podcast grow, and it would mean so much to me. So thank you in advance for those of you who have done it and those of you who will do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without further ado, if you're still listening and you haven't skipped towards the conversation yet, I wanted to talk a little bit because it's been a while and I missed you all so much. I missed y'all so much, but we back, baby. We back. Hopefully you've seen the new cover art. If you're a returning listener, you notice that some things have changed. I have a mic now. Things aren't all perfect, but I have a new cover art. I have a mic. I have a new place of living. I'm graduated. Like, so much has happened, and I've been so busy. But even today, like, it's been such a long day, but I couldn't let another day go by without doing this, and I had to do it. I had to do it, okay? So anyway, just thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you. Thank you for being here, sincerely. This topic has been heavy on my chest since the end of September, honestly. And I started recording this episode in November and I didn't like it. I had a professional camera. I had the tools that I thought I needed, that I thought were perfect, that I had a space that I thought I would be recording a lot more in. When I had my apartment in New York City, I was like, this is it. Like, I will be recording every day. I will be recording lots and lots of episodes. I will be doing so much. And I did do a lot, but not a lot of recording, not a lot of podcasting. And now I'm back. Not in the right circumstances. I thought everything had to look perfect. I was gonna order an LED sign and like do all this and have all these different things, all these different material things that I thought I needed to run this podcast, but that's not true. But at the end of the day, I'm here. I have a voice. I'm grateful. You also have a voice, so don't be afraid to use it, but also when this is published at the right time. For whatever reason, even if I wanted to get this episode back out in November, it's here now and it's at the right time, and whoever needs to hear it will hear it at the right place and the right time wherever you are at in your journey in life. Everything happens for a reason, and this is the time that it's meant to be released. So I truly believe everyone can benefit from this episode wherever you are. Anyway, without further ado, enough about me. Let's get into today's topic. Okay, so I really wanted to talk about today's topic, which is the breakup process and healthy relationships, but right now we're mostly focusing on the breakup process. I was inspired by this topic because a lot of my friends have been going through breakups. A lot of my family members have been going through breakups since, near the end, October through today. And someone is going through a breakup, and I'm sure you've been through one, or if you haven't, or if you're about to, this will help guide you, or at least this will help guide you, or at least give you reassurance, or just be a little guidebook into your process and maybe give you some insight into the breakup process. Anyway, so there's different steps when it comes to actually breaking up with someone, and this is mostly talking about romantic partners and romantic relationships right now, or situationships, or whatever y'all call it these days. But you know what I mean. So there's the act of like actually the thinking about breaking up. So either one person or both of the people in the relationship are thinking about breaking up with each other, and maybe one person knows it and maybe the other person has absolutely no idea, or maybe you both have a sense that you know it's coming. Okay, and that could go on for who knows how long until you decide like, okay, we should actually talk about it, or maybe you don't even talk about it, you just do it. And you finally build up enough courage, you finally practice the words you're going to say, you finally are able to do it, and it takes a lot. I just also want to say like it's not easy. Okay, breakups are like one of the most life transforming personal soul activation transformation process that you will go through. I truly believe that after you break up, your whole entire life changes. But after you go through all the steps, okay? So you're talking about breaking up. And one person probably agrees, the other person probably doesn't. You probably go back and forth. One person probably tries to convince the other person that no, it's fine, we can work it out. Let's talk about it, or like maybe doesn't take it seriously, and the other person who wants to do the breakup is can maybe be persuaded by the other person to be like, you know what, maybe I can stay in this relationship longer. Maybe they're manipulating me into staying into this relationship longer. Maybe they're threatening me. Maybe I'm just crazy. Like maybe I don't actually want this. Like maybe they're right. Like maybe I should stay. So then you go through this back and forth process for a while, and then you actually break up. So like the process between thinking about it to talking about it to actually doing it can range from days to weeks to months to years. Um, it's a whole process, and this is just the beginning part. Personally, the hardest part for me is, so now we get into like this middle stage. So let's say you break up. You break up. Cool. It's hard. It's been like 2 days. Maybe y'all still text. Y'all probably still text, you still communicate, you still talk for however long. Maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, maybe a couple of years. Okay, so after you break up, then you go through a grief process. We're gonna call this grief part one, because the grief part two doesn't come till later. So grief part one is when you're still in communication with each other. You're still processing what's happening. You're still trying to understand, oh my gosh, this person is no longer in my life, but like they are still in my life because we're still talking. We're still communicating. Like they're gone, but they're not gone. So that's why I call it grief part one, because they're not actually gone. So maybe you cry, maybe you journal about it, maybe you're mad, maybe you're going through a lot of emotions, and maybe with them also as well, and maybe you're both going through different emotions or the same emotions, or you're trying to figure out your emotions together, and it's just like and also I don't think anybody really talks about how when you break up with someone, it is life consuming. Like you can't think straight, you can't, sometimes it affects your appetite, you can't really eat. It always amazes me to this day how you can physically feel your heart break. Like they don't call it just heartbreak for a reason. You can physically feel your heart breaking, and that just still will always amaze me to this day. Like uh, it changes you, it shapes you, it molds you, it has an effect on your entire life and those around you, right? Because this person has probably been a part of your life for either a couple months, a couple weeks, a couple years, or even longer, decades. We've been talking about divorces are breakups as well. Like this person has been a part of you for a long time, however long and however short. But to your brain, to your heart, to your mind, to your soul, it feels like a long time, whether it was or wasn't. And so to figure out how to now navigate your life without that attachment because relationships are attachments, and I believe I've talked about this before. It's different and it's confusing, and that's why I'll say, like, it is a life altering event that will affect you. Like, people go to therapy after this. Like it changes you. Okay, so you're in the process of communicating still, right? So you haven't cut all communication, and this is like still like maybe phase 2, and you're still like, okay, we can maybe be friends, like we can, like, let's still talk, like, okay, we can just check in on each other. Like, you will find any means necessary to still keep in touch. Oh, they forgot their shirt at my house. Oh, like, I have a question about this. Oh, I have a question about my classwork. Like we had the same class, so maybe they can answer my question, as if there's not a single other person in the class. Oh, like, they're the only one who knows this answer, so I have to ask them. Like, your brain will make up situations and scenarios that only they can know the answers to, so you can talk to each other. Which, whether we want to admit it or not, is not true. There's other people you can ask these questions to. There's other people you can talk to, but for some reason, for some reason, okay, we know the reason. they were your person, right? For however long. So your soul and your brain and your body believe that, like, they're the only ones that have the answer to these questions, just so you can keep in touch with each other. You will do anything to still talk to them. And maybe not you, and maybe you're listening to this and the roles are reversed, and maybe you did the breakup, or whatever. The roles can be reversed. So take this with a grain of salt, however you're listening to this. So, when the bigger, bolder person, or maybe you both agree on it, but usually it's one person and not both people, when someone decides, okay, the foot has finally been put down and the decision has been made, we can no longer talk. We cannot keep communicating. We need some time apart. We have to stop talking. And I will put this in the same category because we live in the age of social media. And this is going to be hard for some of y'all, because it definitely was hard for me. But also, like, okay, anyway. When you decide not to talk. When you decide to block. When you decide to block. When you decide to block. On all platforms. When you decide to stop checking in on them. When you decide to stop stalking their social media. When you decide to build up enough strength and enough courage to not text them, to not communicate with them, to not check in on them, to not ask their friends about how they're doing, to not. When the person finally makes the grown-up decision to sever all communications by all means on all platforms, that is when your life will change. That is when you will start to see grief part 2. That is when you grieve them. Maybe they're not dead. They're probably not dead. Let's hope. I'll knock on wood. Sorry, that's not funny. That's when grief part 2 happens. That's when you really, like, live without them. That's when you grieve their absence. That's when it happens. That's like, so the first part, cool. Like, if you were to break this in 2 parts, the first part would be actually waking up. But the second part can happen like months, weeks, years later, when the communication finally decides to stop. That is when you are telling yourself your life will change. That is when you give yourself the option to move on. And not necessarily move on, but like, maybe not emotionally, maybe not physically, but like metaphorically? No, that's not the word I'm looking for. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like, that's when you tell the universe that, okay, I'm done with this person who does not serve me. Whether I think it's the right decision or not, I physically have no means of getting into contact with them. So that's it. Like, that's it. It's time for me to move on, whether by choice or not by choice. And that's when your life will start to change. That's when new opportunities will start to come to you. That's when new people will start to come to you. That's when new soulmates, new friendships, new jobs, new locations, a new life will begin to emerge. And I believe that from the bottom of my soul, is that when you decide, or they decide, when the person decides to sever all communication on all platforms, and when you stop checking on each other, when you stop stalking the social media, that's when it happens. That's when part 2 of the final process begins to emerge, because it's like, whew. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It's not easy. It's not simple. It's very hard. It's very complicated. Maybe your eating habits start to change again. Maybe you decide to try out new things. Maybe this is when, I also forgot to mention, like, this is when you start finding ways and means to distract each other. Not distract each other, to distract yourself. So it's like, okay, I need to take my mind off this person. I can't reach out to them. I can't look at them. Even though I'm thinking about them, I can't go look on their social media. I'm blocked. I can't, So maybe you pick up a new hobby. Hobby? Oh gosh, I'm really tired, y'all. It's like almost midnight. Sorry. I don't know why I found that so funny. So maybe this is when you pick up a new hobby. Maybe you started going to the gym more. I absolutely love, and I can tell when someone starts going to the gym more after a breakup. Like, I just love that shit, man. I don't know. I love it. I love to see people getting their body right, people coming back. This is when you start seeing people be active on social media. Let's backtrack. This reminded me. When you start seeing them post, this is before you blocked each other. When you start seeing them post each other, when you start seeing the other post more, that's when you know. You know? If you know, you know. When they start becoming more active on social media, when they start going outside more, when they start partying more, when they start posting more. I'm just going to say that because we live in an age of social media, and I feel like a lot of my audience uses social media, so you understand. When they start posting more, when they start going out more, when they start talking more, when they start, maybe someone's hitting you up and you're like, wait, aren't you in a relationship? When that starts to happen, that's when I don't really like using the term loneliness, but I want to say loneliness because it's like, whether you mean to or not, and I'm guilty, I've done it. The posting is for some attention, whether you want to admit it or not. Whether it's their attention, they still follow you, or it's just some attention, or anybody's attention. Or also, this is also like after part 2 when you cut them off and they simply cannot see your stories, and you start coming out more and you start posting more and you start kind of tapping into who you are, because now it's like you're living a life without them. You're living a life without them. And so it's like, who are you without them? What do you like? What do you like to do? Who do you hang out with when you're not with them? Who are you being? Who are you engaging with? What are you doing? What are you engaging with? Do you start doing drugs? Do you start going to the gym? Do you start wanting to go party out? When you start wanting to go potty? Sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry for my words, but I hope it makes you laugh in this serious conversation. Who are you without them? You start finding yourself. You start coming back to yourself. Excuse me, not finding yourself, because you were never gone. You were never gone. So it's just coming back to you, and it's relearning you. It's a beautiful, hard, transformative life situation. But I truly believe that breakups are the most life transforming thing that can happen to you, because you are forced to now rediscover life for your own terms, on your own terms, with new people, with new friends, with a new life. Like, when you're with someone, they really are your life. Like, it's not, they're your partner, you know? And we can dedicate a whole episode to toxic relationships and how they can really consume your life. And so, shout out to everybody, not shout out, but like, my heart's with everyone who is in or has been or is recovering or is trying to get out of a toxic relationship, whether that's verbal, physical, mental, emotional. My heart's with y'all, and I'll drop some resources in the comments as well, because they really do control your life. And when you're attached so deeply to someone like that, it seems as if you can't live without them. But I want you to know that life is better. Life does get better, and it doesn't always have to be this hard. And if you choose, I know it's not as easy as I'm making it sound, but for some of y'all, maybe you need to hear this, but when you're ready to choose a better life, when you're ready to let go, when you're ready to put your foot down and press block, when you're ready to stop texting, when you're ready to stop hoping for their message, for their name to appear on your phone, when you're ready for that, and maybe you'll never be ready for that, but when you're ready for yourself to feel love and you're ready for yourself to want more because you know you deserve more, that's when you'll get it. That's when your life will change. And it may not change right away. It doesn't happen the next day. It doesn't happen instantly. Or honestly, y'all, I'm not even kidding you. When I got out of my last relationship, the next day, literally the next day, this isn't universal for everybody, but like, things started happening. Things started changing. Like, life was different. And it's just like, it's so wild to me, because it really can change your life. When you're ready to change your life, life will change you for the better. Okay? So, yeah, that's just really, there's a lot that goes into it. I could go into more details, but really, I'm serious, when you're ready to stop communication, I need to stop saying when you're ready, because I don't think either party will ever be ready. But when that action is decided, that is when you will see your life change and transform. You'll start hanging out with your family more. I've noticed that is a theme. That's a thing that happens when, and it doesn't happen right away, like, because I think after you break up, you want to like be with friends, or you want to be alone, or you try to do anything and everything to distract yourself. So maybe you end up in some situations you don't even want to be in, or, but like, it's better than being in the house, you know? So another indication of the next stage in your process to your new life is when you start hanging out with family more and you start rebuilding that relationship. And because every relationship is connected, okay, whether you want to or not, and especially if you were in a toxic, unhealthy, abusive relationship, it takes you away from your family. However your relationship with your family is, even if you claim that it was horrible before the relationship, when you become out of the relationship, I don't have the explanation as to why this happens, but you start reconnecting back to your family. And maybe it's like not all your family, maybe it's you just start hanging out with your cousins more, or your sister, or your brother, or even your dog, like your pets, your goldfish. Like, may not be mom and dad right away, or grandma and grandpa, or whoever is in your family, but you start coming back to them. You start reconnecting and building that relationship with them, because so much of your time and energy and effort and money and time, has been with the other person. So when that person is gone, you come back to your day ones. however your relationship might look like with them, you come back to them, and that is a sign of the next stage, the next phase. And I really call that like phase 3, or like that's an ongoing phase, like reconnecting back with your family. That's timeless, to be honest. But yeah, that is a sign that things are moving forward. And so if you find yourself and you're after wherever you are in the breakup process, if you find yourself hanging out with family a lot more, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. It may seem uncomfortable. It will seem uncomfortable. It will seem not fun. It will seem not fun and not something that you want to do or thought you would do, or you would rather be out with your friends or, with them. But when you start hanging out with them, know that it's okay and you're in the right place, okay? And I know it can be hard, and I know it can be uncomfortable, because not everyone, I don't think anybody in this lifetime has a perfect family. We don't get to choose our families. But when you start going back to your roots, that is an indication of you going back to your roots. Like, does that make sense? So, yeah. I don't really know how to end the breakup process, because, you'll still think about them. You'll have good days, you'll have bad days, you'll have days where you'll cry. And I should have said this from the very beginning, but let yourself cry. Let yourself cry. Let yourself grieve. That is a part of the process. You grieve them. You don't have to be dead to grieve somebody. They don't have to be dead to grieve them. That's what I meant to say. Let yourself cry and cry again, and you'll cry again, and you'll have a really good day, and maybe the next day you'll cry again. It's truly a roller coaster, but know that each time you release, it opens yourself up for more. Okay, each time you let go, you can let in. Each time you let in, you can let go. And I just want to say, just to let yourself cry, because crying is healthy, crying is necessary, crying is a sign of letting go, and that is good, and that is necessary, and that is important. Even if you have to go cry in a car, or go take a walk, or like do whatever you need to do to find a safe space in order to cry in the shower, like do what you gotta do, let it out, and let it out again and again and again. And maybe it'll even be like a couple months after you haven't talked, and you'll cry, or you'll just think about them randomly. Like, it's hard, it's not easy, none of this is easy, but it is what it is. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. I've gone through it many times. People in your life have gone through it many times. Your friends, your family, everybody. It is something we all go through at some point in our lives, and if you haven't, that's okay too. Doesn't mean it won't happen. It doesn't mean it will happen, because I don't know everybody's life. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, it's a process. It's a process, and don't shy away from it. Trust it. Trust the process. Okay? Because you're gonna get through this, and you got this, and it's gonna seem really, really hard at first, but know that you got it, and you're not alone, and there's other people who feel and will help you along your journey. The most random people will help you along your journey, and even if it's just like a good day with a stranger, or like something happened, and like the good days outweigh the bad every single time, whether that's a breakup or not. Like, the good days outweigh the bad 100%. And it's so weird, because you'll go months without thinking of them, or you'll go days without thinking of them, and you think you're gonna get better, and like, it doesn't mean you're not getting better when you think about them. That's what I want to say, okay? I'm gonna say that again. It doesn't mean you're not getting better when you think about them. You will have things that come back and remind you of them. You will have people ask you about them. You will have their name mentioned. You'll see their name on a sidewalk or on the name of a street, or the most random things, or like you'll watch a movie or you'll hear a music. Like there's so many things that are attached to them. You build things together. You make memories together, and it's like, when you think about them, it doesn't mean you're going backwards, okay? They were a part of your life, whether you want to admit it or not. They were a part of it, and now you have to learn how to build a life without them. And oh, this is dying. Oh gosh, okay, maybe that's a sign. Sorry, if you're on video, you can see this happening. If you're not on video, hello, my little selfie light is dying, so that's an indication that it's time to end it. But time to end the episode, to clear that up. Anyway, wherever you are in the process, I'm just sending you love and light, and I'm giving you a virtual hug, and I want you to know that you're not alone, and be grateful for the memories that they gave you, and the laughs and the cries and all of it, because it's all a part of the process. But you will get through this, and you will get through this, and you will have a taste of a better life. I didn't even get to talk about healthy relationships, and I know that I mentioned that in the intro and earlier in the episode, but there was just a lot that goes into the breakup process, and unless this is going to be like an hour and a half episode, I cannot get into healthy relationships right now because we're out of time. But they do exist. They do exist. So do not, under any circumstance, under any means, give up on love. Don't do it. Because it exists. I'm about to start tearing up. But healthy, pure, genuine, delicious, lovely love exists out there, and it will find you. I promise. But you gotta love yourself, and it's time to love yourself. Pour into you. If you're going through the process and you feel like you're alone, it's time to be alone. But also know that you're never alone. Like, I'm gonna stop talking, but like, it's a lot. But all I want to say is, time to love yourself so you can let new love in. Time to love yourself so you can experience that healthy love, because you deserve it, and it exists. Whether you believe it or not, I'm telling you that it exists. I love you, and I'm sending you all good things. Don't forget, if you liked what you heard today, please give me that 5-star on whatever platform you're listening to this on. If you would like to watch this, if you would like to see me and re-listen to this again, I am on Spotify, and I am on YouTube, and I am on like almost every platform. And maybe this is something that I say in the beginning, but I'm Leylah and I do what I want. So anyway, this is it for tonight, folks. I hope you have a great day. Sending you love and support, and the resources in the caption if you need them. Take care, stay safe, and don't text them. Peace out.